That's good. Happy whatever day you're watching this. I appreciate y'all. You could be spending time with your friends, your family, your children, your spouse, but instead you decided to waste time with me. And I appreciate that. Never forget that. If you don't know who I am, welcome. If you know who I am, welcome back. If you don't like me, and you're like, Matt, I've never even seen a video yet. How do I know whether I like you or not? Exactly. Here, the goal is all the same. Help me get to more subscribers than Mr. Beast. Once I get there, I'll quit YouTube. So if you like me, help me achieve my goals. If you don't like me, help me achieve my goals so that I can quit and never see my face again. But only once I have more subscribers than Mr. Beast. I appreciate y'all. Well, let's get into this new video. We're talking about Sam Altman. Let's see what he has for us today. It's the one and only racially ambiguous Noel Miller. Let's get into it, folks.
Pants on, the modern Hamburglar pants, because I got beef. Yeah, chew on that brutal ass bit right there. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about the very controversial, the blood and bone juice of my enemies stain onto my teeth. Because I'm about to take a bite out of somebody who I consider my enemy. Yeah, me, a guy on YouTube, has beef with head of largest AI company in existence. Guys, I want to talk about Sam Altman, if the title and thumbnail didn't suggest already. Let me start over here. I fucking hate the way I'm coming at this. I feel like I need to be more up.
What's up, guys? It's time for another quirky, funny recap of...
That's how I have to feel. Like my natural monotone voice, I gotta be like, what's good, everybody? Welcome back. It's your boy. How you doing? And like go up an octave. My vocal cords can't take that. We gotta check out that TikTok. That one guy's like, hey, this is not my real voice. And he's like, maybe I've gone down an octave, or maybe I've gone up an octave because I'm trying not to offend people around me. Who knows? Maybe I've gone down an octave just to come across as not as hostile. Stay woke.
The news. That's right. Me, one of your favorite YouTubers, is going to read a news article and Wikipedia for you.
Yeah, no, man, Sam Altman. If my feelings about this guy weren't ever clear, fuck him. This guy stinks. Certified stinker. Besides all the other controversies attached to Sam Altman, which I'm not going to speak about him personally, or even the litany of issues that people may take with this company, me included, depending on the issue. But the latest news...
Didn't he kill somebody? Didn't he kill somebody?
About OpenAI grinds my gears in a very specific way. So when OpenAI released Sora and people were recreating Family Guy and The Simpsons and Studio Ghibli inspired images and such, people obviously, which they have been since the, birth of generative AI, there's obviously been many people who take issue with their art being used as part of data sets to train AI models, especially in the way of producing images and video. Now, you all know I like to quote the one book I have read ever, which is The Age of Surveillance Capitalism. But in that book, the author, Shoshana, talks...
We gotta save that book for later, guys. Hold on, give me 1 second. The Age of Surveillance Capitalism. All right, let's say that for later.
A lot, or covers off very well, on the playbook of tech companies in sort of this gilded age of technology, wherein a lot of tech companies, stole data, did a lot of illegal shit without anyone knowing. And by the time you go to sue them, they can just sort of deny, and then they can eventually admit. And once you drag them through years and years of, litigation and such, they've already moved on to the next thing. They're already creating a new product and creating a new way to farm data and farm people's behavior and so on and so forth to continue to contribute to their model. And so the thing that you end up wanting to get them in trouble for is completely irrelevant to their business. You can actually see this right now with Google, where up until recently there was a big case about Google having the monopoly on search, and it was supposed to be broken up Ultimately, I think the case fell apart. But it's funny that only after 25 some years, after farming everyone's search history for 2 decades, now they're going to get in trouble for it. It's irrelevant. All that to say, big bad OpenAI is now dealing with a case related to copyright. They're being sued. And they made a big oopsie, which gives me personally a little Justice Chubb. I'm not going to say boner, because it's not like the whole thing came crashing down and this guy's going to jail. But it does get me a little bit excited. We're waking up. We'll put it that way. I'm going to read some snippets from a Bloomberg article. OpenAI's failure to shield internal communications about pirated books from copyright plaintiffs threatens to expose the company to billions in damages and potentially debilitating sanctions. Now, if you use Twitter at all, you know that when Sora came out, besides Jake Paul makeup tutorials and SpongeBob body cam videos, plenty of people were talking how it was only a matter of time before OpenAI got a giant foot in their ass, and that foot is comprised of different lawsuits, because there's no way they're going to get away with using huge intellectual properties like SpongeBob and The Simpsons without, just getting tons and tons of lawsuits formed against them. So here now they sit in a bit of a pickle, all because of an oopsie. And I'll try to distill it down because, the details may not be super interesting to you, so I'll try to keep it to the stuff that's relevant. Authors and publishers suing the artificial intelligence giant have secured access to some Slack messages. If you've never worked a corporate job, Slack is like iMessage for people on Soylent. Authors and publishers suing the artificial intelligence giant have secured access to some Slack messages and emails discussing OpenAI's deletion of a data set containing pirated books, and are seeking additional attorney communications about their decision, or about the decision, If they succeed, the communications could demonstrate willful infringement, triggering enhanced damages of as much as $150,000 per work. Plaintiffs are pursuing a rare combination of arguments to pierce attorney-client privilege, a protection courts rarely breach.
About to say, if they're trying to obtain communication, they're trying to obtain communication that they have with their attorneys in order to finesse this. It's hard to, there's the only real exceptions to attorney-client privilege or confidentiality if there's a third party that is not a client to the attorney, thus not making an attorney-client privilege communication or not making confidential. If I say something in confidence to somebody else, but then I'm broadcasting it to the world or broadcasting to the rest of the company, it's not confidential. And then if the attorney, again, the client in this situation is all of OpenAI, all of Sam Altman's business, so that might be protected. Like the employees that work for OpenAI under Sam Altman, all are the clients of whatever law firm they use. So that might be the attorney-client privilege there, but it's very hard to pierce that privilege. It's one of the strongest privilege. I mean, husband and wives have a privilege; they don't have to testify against each other. Doctor-patient confidentiality. So there's a litany of different privileges, and the attorney-client privilege is the one that everybody knows about. So it's very hard for you to get around that.
So if you've never been part of a lawsuit or you've never taken a law class, basically, normally when you hire a lawyer, whatever you communicate with that lawyer is protected legally. That is your attorney-client privilege, because you got to be able to speak freely about the case to your attorney. In the case of, murder or theft, you might confide in your attorney and you're like, so I did that shit. And the attorney goes, that's great, man. Don't ever.
Essentially, yeah. It's like, when I used to intern with a criminal defense attorney, and then I used to be a prosecutor. But when I was with the criminal defense attorney, he never asked them whether they did or not. Actually, the first conversation that he would have, like during their consultation, he would be like, "Hey, let me just cut you off there, chief. Don't even tell me whether they did or not, and don't tell anybody ever. Let's say for whatever reason, I look, you give me some stuff, I look at it, and it seems to me that you might have done it. That stays between you and me, but don't tell anybody else. Capiche?"
Never say that, unless it's the lawyer from the Drewski sketch. Then you're going to jail. Anyways, normally you can't, break into that treasure trove of communication. But in this case, the people initiating this lawsuit have found a way to do that. They first contend OpenAI waived its privilege for attorney correspondence by selectively disclosing one reason for deleting the libgen data. If you didn't know, libgen data, that's a massive library of libs that have been owned. They first contend OpenAI waived its privilege for attorney correspondence by selectively disclosing one reason for deleting the libgen data, saying it was due to non-use. OpenAI walked back its statement, claiming the
Dang,
quote,
I'm in your way
due
here.
to phrasing was never intended to disclose privileged reasons for the removal, and that its revision to remove to the wording wasn't a flip-flop as plaintiffs described it. But the damage may be done. The fact that OpenAI put forth a reason is, quote, pretty damning, even if the company now claims that the wording was accidental. The plaintiff's points of no takebacks is right. This is the opinion of a law school professor. So it seems, allegedly, I'm speculating here, and if an OpenAI lawyer is watching, please don't Boeing me, all right?
Diabolical.
I'm just a guy reading from the paper. But it seems like they pirate all these books. They train their AI on all these books. So whether that's writing styles, creative concepting, how to structure a story, whatever, they put all this information into the model. And then internally, everyone is speaking to each other, writing down, hey, we need to delete the pirated data set in case this comes back to us. I'm not saying that's what they said. I'm saying that's
One sec.
probably the general vibe of what is being alleged here. So they delete that data set, and I guess the plan in that scenario would be there's no data to prove that they used pirated books, and they can kind of just magically pretend, oh no, the AI was always capable of writing like Brandon Sanderson. We didn't tell it to do that. Oh, that's weird. A certain specific style of writing and phrasing was you found a one-to-one reference in a book that you wrote. That's crazy. We have no idea. The AI must have gone rogue, and they may have gotten away with that, but OpenAI basically, it seems, fucked up and went, well, we did delete it, but it's because we weren't using it. Oh, really? That's a Now, mind you, in this same month, or in the last 4 weeks, Anthropic, another big AI company, got a big old slap on the wrist in the form of $1.5 billion because they too got in trouble for pirating media. Oh, did Anthropic create? Anthropic created Sora. My bad. No, OpenAI is Sora. They have Claude. I can't keep track of all these fucking people. Now, it's worth pointing out this data set of pirated books literally comes from a site where you pirate books. It's called libgen. But OpenAI attempted to get away with, doing the thing that the rest of us aren't supposed to do, which is pirating. Obviously, train up an AI model for profit and for other things. Oh, excuse me, sorry. OpenAI doesn't do profit, but it is going to be available on the stock market very soon. But they don't do profit. They're a non-profit. Anyways, libgen is a site where you pirate books, right? And so obviously it's a bit ironic that they go and use all that media for something that they fully intend to make money from, right? I think this all, again, speaks to the gilded age of technology that we're permanently living in, where all these guys break the rules until they get caught. And even a settlement like $1.5 billion, the crazy part to me is on paper, it seems these companies, they got it, right? Because we're all going to be living in a data center eventually. I don't know if you know that. You're going to be reduced to a 16-cell brain organoid hooked up to a computer, and you can live forever as a virtual butterfly in a data center. But I digress.
Diabolical.
The fucked up part is these companies seem to have the money to deal with this. What about all this grinds my gears? Well, one is the obvious. AI companies, in general, I feel that their main goal is to murder artists. I think they despise the concept of a human being an artist. I think they don't view any creative as sort of maybe special or something that can't be achieved by anyone. Maybe they do, but I personally believe at the top ranks of these companies, artists of any form are sort of it's whatever to them. They view the world in this like sort of computer way, where maybe previously they believed like, well, an artist was relevant in the 1800s because, people had to focus on this and few people could focus on philosophy and those things, but we've built those cornerstones of society. So, we feel that the concept of an artist should not be reserved for one person. Everyone should be an artist for $49.99 a month. That's personally how I think they see the world. Anyone that's choosing to starve, right, and give up the youth of their life to huff paint and put paint on canvas or to sit there and write, hungry or suffering in any way to try to achieve, the personal life goal of a piece of art that is reflective of their journey or a grand vision. I don't think any tech company respects that shit. They just view it the same way they viewed how we shop, how we, interact with each other, how what media we browse. It's just more information for them.
It all boils down to, how can I optimize shareholder value for my stock? And yeah, I know these, like Noel said, it's not public yet, but I got to set myself up to where I do go public. My shareholders that invest in my stock, they always see a return on their investment. If they always see a return on their investment, it makes my company look good. It doesn't matter what I need to do. If I need to murder to make that stock grow, I'll do it. If I need to start a war to make that stock grow, I make it. Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure I am in proximity to a business that is running that model. But yeah, if they're going to say, hey, I'm willing to rob, steal, rape, pillage to get a thing that will help my business grow. I mean, again, what's the adage? Let's find it. What is it again? I'll find it and I'll say at the end, but basically it's, a fine is just the cost of doing business, of doing something wrong, of wrongdoing, versus and I mentioned this in another video, the CEOs, the CFOs, the CP3Os that sit down at these board meetings and decide, hey, I have this idea that will basically screw everybody else over, but I can hide behind the corporate veil of my LLC and say, hey, you can't touch me. It wasn't me. It was the business itself that did this crime. And all it is a slap on the wrist, $1 billion for this company. Again, we already did the math in if you look at another video I did, we did the math. If your company's worth $40 billion and you're getting sued for $1 billion, that's just 1/40th. 1/40th. That's not a huge deal. That's a fraction of what you earn day to day.
For them to gather and then to take whatever you have discovered.
And I'm 100% sure you don't have to pay that $1 billion up front. I'm sure you can have some sort of payment plan. That's how a lot of this stuff works.
And give it to everyone for a subscription fee. I think that's all they want. So again, the first and I think obvious glaring issue I have with this and why it grinds my gears is they want to commodify art, but more specifically the ability to create art. And in order to do that, they need artists. They need artist work, years and years of people giving up their life for something they believed in. That is now for them, right? For the taking. Even as brazen as The Simpsons, they'll just take that shit and give it to other people so that someone can pay a nominal fee and create their own versions of The Simpsons that they feel is suited for them. And it's all kind of this ugly march forward to the whole world needs to bend to an individual's thoughts and feelings. It's never challenged, and everyone gets exactly what they want so long as they put on their Palantir citizen-approved headset and they have their government-approved Apple Watch, which is tracking their health, and this, that, and the third. The second issue that maybe is a bit more esoteric and potentially I can't back this up, right? I have no tangible anything to back this up. It's just a feeling I have. I feel that this is like them just eroding, I don't know, like, God, it sounded really LA right there. I want to blow my brains out after I just said.
You're suicidal. You're suicidal. You're suicidal. Why?
It's like eroding away your autonomy. It's like they want to get to you before you could even form your own ideas and visions. They just want your life to be big, bright buttons and bright colors, and you don't have to try to accomplish something. They'll just give it to you. It's a way to like keep you stupid, right? You don't have to sit through hours of learning how to paint. I hate when technology companies talk about like, oh, we want to get people up to speed. We want to make things available faster. It's like, no, fucker. That's the human experience, is committed time, dedication, that desire, discipline, 10% power. Well, don't make me start rapping the song that I went big for, all right? But it's this gross, like, elimination of suffering. Even, I've said many times before, a chat GPT partner, that just removes rejection. It removes, like, anything challenging you. I just have this grim feeling, right, where it's these corporations don't want you to read. They just want you to sit there in front of, I don't know, bright moving pictures. And if you look at a movie and you go, I want to make a movie, they say, you can make a movie right now. And you go, will we? They say, yeah, just tell us what the movie is and we're going to make it for you. They take Transformers and Dune and merge that together to give you a 90-minute feature of the chiropractor who broke your mom's back and made her poop her pants, becoming a superhero. I don't know. Now, my third point is where my gears really get grinded. My gears at this point are too smooth bearings for a skateboard. There's nothing left to grind. There is only space for rage. Okay? I want you to look at these commercials from like a month ago. These are OpenAI commercials. Now, before we watch these commercials, we got to put some similar music because we can't play the copywritten music. And I'll do my best to impersonate the characters in the scene. Oh my god, this pasta's so fucking good. What the fuck did you do to cook it this way? Yeah, I used ChatGPT. Let me get you some more, babe. Shove it down your fat hole. One more.
Oh, yeah, gosh, that was pretty easy.
My gears are ground at this point because I guess if I had to put it simply, these fuckers want to steal art for profit, then put it in a platform. They had to hire writers, director, whoever, to put these spots together, these ad spots. And they need artists to kind of give the veneer or the feeling that ChatGPT is a positive.
Yeah, that's so true. So they needed human beings to set up the mic, the boom mic, set up the camera, get the angle right, run it back a few times. If their whole thing is, hey, you want to get people up to speed, you should show us the process of how that's made using AI, saying, hey, we actually had a computer come in, set up the lights. You see the dimming up there. They dim that themselves, the computer, the camera. We just had to set up a computer, plug it into a computer. They set it to the right settings. They said, hey, actually, I need a prompt to set the scene for a ChatGPT commercial. And then they put that into the prompt. The prompt spit that out. And they're able to then automatically put it into the camera. No, they needed human beings to do all this, to say, action. All right, fix the makeup. I see a glare. A human being had to go touch up the makeup, all that kind of stuff, man.
Thing. I even struggle to put the words together for this, but it's just they need, I guess, years and years of people who have honestly just spent time living in like the human condition. Whatever director came up with this location choice and this framing, it's because he did it a bunch of times to figure out sort of like an optimal look and to have the inspiration to come up with a scene like this. And even the way this scene, this final shot here maps out, whoever directed this has directed tons of other things that informed the way to pick this particular shot. I'm not saying it's the most revolutionary ever. I'm just saying there's experience behind this. And on one hand, you could argue
my boy spitting.
something like
My boy spitting right
cinematography
now.
shouldn't be exclusive, and it's not. Plenty of manufacturers have gone out of their way to make shooting video non-exclusive. That's neither here nor there. But I don't think we should be robbing people of the individual time that they've committed to something. This ultimately enrages me because these companies, at least ChatGPT, wants to use artists. Clearly, they had to hire a writer, they had to hire a director. ChatGPT didn't write this shit. I know they hired some people to make this. And even if they use ChatGPT to drive any parts of this, that was still built on human experience and the human condition. So I think just what's upsetting about this, I guess specifically in the way of art, is I feel that I'm watching this commodification of art or artist expression, which isn't something that should be gatekept, right? Everyone, I think, is entitled to attempt art if they want to, right? This grinds my gears in the same way that anyone who works or who has worked maybe an office job for a long time might see the infiltration of AI, because there are plenty of articles now coming out where I think there was an MIT or a Harvard study recently that cited no company has reported an effective use of AI, and they don't see necessarily see profit benefits from incorporating AI into their workflow. Obviously, I don't work everywhere, so I can't say where AI is and isn't helpful. But I empathize with anyone, because I'm looking at this like maybe through an artistic lens, but maybe you work some other job where they're using AI and you know for a fact this AI can't do what you do. I know plenty of software developers who are being forced to use AI. ChatGPT writes code, but the code is bloated, it's dog shit, and they have to sit there and clean it up and instruct it and rewrite it. And it kind of gets things going, but inevitably a human has to step in and tweak it. And I think the grand vision, especially in the realm of art, is you already see it now, like AI producers. They want people who can just prompt this shit to death. One person who seems to sort of understand art or have an affinity for art can prompt a bunch of it, and all they're doing is sort of like rinsing and washing an AI product until it's like acceptable for the human eye. And I guess it's ultimately gross to me that they need artists to sell you on this idea, clearly. But
it's true.
they're just going to eat them all up in the process.
That's
ultimately,
true.
it just pisses me off. I mean, these guys are massive hypocrites. They use everyone else's lived experience, whether it's art or information, combine it all into one product, and so some in San Francisco can be like, it's better for humanity, and that fucker doesn't even participate in humanity. That's why these guys can do this, because this is, this is the last stage of human existence, is being fucking being owned by the nerds. I guess this is decades of jocks going to war and nerds building the machines and the weapons to do it, and now they finally get the upper hand, and now we all got to stay inside with headphones.
That's true.
Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you're Sam Altman watching this, what happened to that engineer? Why did he disappear? His parents...
Yeah, Sam. What happened to the engineer, cuz? On fakes. What happened to the engineer? I mean, my understanding is that Sam Altman was an engineer. So just, if we just put engineer, you see, yeah, he's an engineer. Yeah, I mean, does this have to do anything? Say, not discuss the mysterious death of his employee who has just wrote an essay on why generative AI violates U.S. copyright law. Interesting. Here we go, and I found it. If the penalty is a fine, it's legal for the rich. Well, everybody, I appreciate you. Sam Altman. What happened to your employee, fam?